all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Are you thinking of owning your dream home?
Has really been interesting. But at this juncture, we want to thank everybody for coming. Those that have arrived a few time ago from our entertainment. Your moderator today for this event is Mr. Lamin Sise, a staff of Yonna Foreign Exchange Bureau Limited. As I did an introduction in the morning earlier on, permit me to really recognize the presence of Mr. Omar Mboub. Mr. Mboub, we want to recognize your presence at the high table. Mr. Mboub is the guest speaker for the occasion today. Mr. Lamin Sanyang, University of the Gambia, is also in attendance. He is also one of our guest speakers. Mr. Sanyang, thank you very much. Mr. Bakari Marong, in attendance with us. Mr. Marong, you welcome. Mr. Bekai Dabo, here with us. Member of Board of Directors, Staff Trust Bank Limited is here with us. Uncle Bekai, you're welcome. At the high table, Mr. Sidi Kanyi, Mr. Kanyi, you're welcome. Still at the high table, we have General Manager, Yonna Foreign Exchange Bureau Limited, Mr. Momodou Baro. Mr. Baro, you're welcome. These are the members that occupied the high table for us. And we want to say thank you very much. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, Yonna Foreign Exchange Bureau, Managing Director, Yonna Foreign Exchange Bureau, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come here today, as I told you earlier on, to reaffirm one of the strongest and one of the magnificent institutional relationships that this country has ever known. This occasion is going to go with entertainment, But more importantly, we will have lectures with respect to our service delivery and the ethics of our job. We have two gentlemen here present with us who will really come and interact with you. I think this year's deliberation will make one of the best lectures that we have ever witnessed since we commenced this event. From the introduction of the guest speakers, we are going to start the presentation with our guest speaker, Mr. Omar Mbob. We have grammarians, but the surname is not an English name. It's not in dictionary. So, and we might have teachers here who teaches Jolly Phonics as well, and lecturers, but then permit me for making any error in pronouncing that surname, please. Mr. Mboub went to Armitage High School. Mr. Mboub studied in Accra at London College of Accountancy, Senior Manager, Trust Bank Limited, and as well Deputy Managing Director, Trust Bank Limited. Mr. Mboub's effort in meeting financial demands in the country by putting in his knowledge and his time to serve the people of the Gambia and to ensure that proper institutions of good financial management are being instituted, and as well to ensure that great and proper consultancy jobs, as far as accountancy is concerned, it's been done in the country. He's exemplary. Mr. Mboub, in order not to elaborate more, for the sake of time, I would love the occasion to please allow Mr. Mboub, Trust Bank Limited, the Gambia, to give us a lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Omar Mboub of Trust Bank Limited.
Thank you very much. You understand this easy, right?
Yes.
I have to hold it.
And, just
I have to hold it.
really.
So you can hold it, or I have to hold it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Happy New Year to you all. I must say I'm elated by the privilege to stand here before you, really to give a speech. I must confess that all the members of the high table are my brothers and very familiar faces, from Mr. Marong, who is my most senior, to Doctor, who was in the same class with my elder brother, to Koto Sidi, who has been my elder from day one, to Mr. Barrow. So these are familiar faces. To Srifo, who has been an immense inspiration to all of us. And I want you to rise up and then clap for at least 1 minute for Srifo for having put this together for us. Please, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. When I was contacted to actually come and share my knowledge with you, I was wondering what should I talk about? I mean, this is a great man called Mr. Sirifo Toure in collaboration with Mr. Momodou Barrow. They have run a very good show of financial intermediation, as well as raising the status bar when it comes to financial services in the Gambia. And then they said I should talk about the importance or the impact of the indigenous business to the socio-economic development of the Gambia. I really don't want to talk about, I hate it when I'm given topics, because I will leave that to Doctor. They are very academic. If not, he will begin to punch holes onto the academic errors that I'm doing. And then I want to be more practical. I just wanted to draw back. The story is not going to be very far. How did Yonna start? It's important to look at that from a small corner shop in Bakau, selling groceries as a mini market, to actually bringing in goods from Dubai, to beginning to do some informal bits of the money transfer, as well as formalizing that, registering with the Central Bank of the Gambia to become a registered money transfer service, to continuing the enterprise bit of it, as well as elevating it into a microfinance institution. Is there any other lesson we can learn better than this one? Shouldn't that deserve a round of applause for Mr. Toure? He can't do that alone. He has done it in collaboration with Mr. Barrow, the general manager, and all of you. And I understand this is an annual event where all of you would come and gather, and then you network, you listen to poor people like me trying to come and confuse you. Make sure you are not confused by the time you go. I am just narrating exactly what you guys have achieved. You are a classical example of the essence of an indigenous business. If you look at the number of employees, I'm sure not all of you are here today, but most of you are here. And for some of you who are not here, probably that is the reason they are not. Extend this message to say, Yonna represents the classic example of an indigenous successful business. They always say touch wood, so maybe you touch the wood that's next to you. But if you look at their trajectory, I'm expecting that we will meet here or somewhere else one day, and we'll be talking about Yonna Bank, and we'll be talking about the Yonna Group, internationally recognized and one of the best multinationals that represents this country. It's needless to say that some of you employees, the direct benefit you are getting from Yonna, you could enumerate them. Some of you have gone to school looking forward to actually having a job. And when you have a job, you make an earning, you take care of family, or you develop yourself professionally. And I think that has all been gained. Looking at a socio-economic impact, you can assess it from within. You don't need a Google master to tell you what impact Yonna has done in the country. So I was having these small discussions with my brother Marong just before I come over. I said, can Gambians create an ecosystem of like-minded Gambians who have the energy and the thoughts and the vision to really transform whatever we are doing and make it so qualitative that Gambians will see themselves in it entirely and will take ownership of their country and be patriotic. One thing that we are lagging is the honest truth is patriotism. Unless we convince the entire world that we love the Gambia as much as you love your country, it will be challenging for us to have the likes of Yonna. We always refer, now when you talk about Sirifo, generally what people will first of all tell you, and this is how insecure Gambians are, he went to Arabic school. My friend, the guy is educated. I learned from one elder that the most unfortunate guy is the man who could calculate what his income is in a month. He is the less privileged person. You and I, we know exactly how much we will earn at the end of the month. We know our salary to the last dot. Now, in fact, we start borrowing before salary is paid. We will take overdraft, we will go to the corner shop and take some gas, we will do this, we will do that. It becomes a vicious cycle of debt in us. And how are we reorienting ourselves to ensure that we also become an employer, job providers rather than job seekers? And I think Yonna has represented the classic example of a job provider. Srifo could have stopped at his mini market. He was having enough to feed himself and feed his family. But he said, look, I have the thoughts, I have the vision, I have the commitment, I have the connections and the relationships to take this to a different level and benefit Gambians. And make sure I also contribute my quota to the socio-economic development of this country. And every year, I'll come back and bring people and get someone to remind them of our commitment, of our strategy. Even though my thought process or our combined thought processes at the top has given us this opportunity to grow this to this level, let us invite others with brains. Let us invite others who share the same feeling and thoughts with us to actually move this institution to a different level. And this is why we are here today. Now, correct me if I am wrong. That's my own definition of the reason why we are here. But, talking about it, if I want to get into the details, employment, it's very important. And then you know what Yonna is doing. 164 staff on the money transfer, about 38 staff on the enterprise. The MFI is coming up. So you're looking at a young, energetic, enthusiastic team of Gambians with an indigenous business registered in the Gambia, named after their village Yonna. The first time I heard about Yonna was a Demba Konta song. Then Yonna man work faster than what something. You remember the song? Some of you might not remember it, but it was a very nice song, Demba Konta, for some of you who will remember. Then obviously I have classmates from Kunting, from Dobo, from Bansang. So obviously I know the fact that they could name their village after a business and see it grow from infantry to cruising altitude today and being one of the most recognizable financial intermediaries in the country just tells you the commitment of Gambians and the power that can be consolidated to bring you a product that is beyond reproach in this market. Your hands together for the team. So the inclusiveness of the historically, obviously, when you talk about employment that it brings, you also talk about the income levels improvement and the wealth creation. Some of you, at the end of the day, you look forward to a promotion. Now, that promotion probably will lead to more money. More money leads to more responsibilities. Unfortunately for some of us, more money means more cars, more wives. I'm not saying it's wrong, but if Srifo has concentrated the entire revenues of Yonna to his personal luxury bill, some of us may not be here today to celebrate with him. So be disciplined to understand what you do. I know the Ustaz will always tell me that this is what Islam has said. Unfortunately for me too, I went to school and I read the Quran a little bit. And there is one verse, if you will excuse me, I'll just say it. Because entirely, if you give credit to humans, the religious perspective will say, the people just think that if God doesn't come to your rescue, it wouldn't happen. Fine. We believe in that. And then the verse goes ahead like this. It said the keys to the hidden treasure. The keys to the hidden treasure. He said, no one knows them but Allah. And then he said, he knows when a leaf drops in the darkest part of the wall, being a wet leaf or a dry leaf. There is nothing that will happen in this world that God has not written in a clear record. وَعِنْدَهُ مَفَادِحُ الْغَيْبِ لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُوَ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَاقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. So for some of you who read Arabic a little bit and understand the Quran, let us put that aside. Sirifo believed in this verse. He had practiced it. He and his team and you people, you owe it to the entire country to believe in the vision of Yonna and to set an example to this nation that we can also do it in the Gambia. We don't need a Western Union to bring us money. We don't need a MoneyGram. I'm sure this constitutes some form of an advertisement. Apologies, because when the media is around, you don't mention names. But all I wanted to do is to put it into perspective that what those institutions are doing, Yonna is doing better, under a more respected culture, under a more common, harmonized understanding of like-hearted, like-minded, same cultural belief people call the Gambian people, most importantly. So there are a range of services that will also, when you have an indigenous business, for instance, one of my branch managers, he's now managing Beba, Mr. Dudunyang, who I immensely respect. Bekai will know. He was a branch manager at some point, and somebody came for an overdraft, and he said, my friend, unfortunately, you've exhausted all limits to be extended on OD. The guy sat down for a minute and said, Hana hamulo te tam haridla. You know what that connotes? Tell that to somebody who doesn't understand what Tamharid in the Gambia. He couldn't care less. So what the indigenous business do, or the moral of this story is, we are sensitive to the events around us, despite running a business. And that's important. The good relationship you build with your colleagues, and the understanding you have that, Teidama Amdich, it's different from where things are completely different. So that cultural cohesiveness under a business environment is much more appreciated when you are operating within the same cultural setup that you have. You know, in developing a vibrant business culture and sector where indigenous people will participate and interact on equal terms, this helps what? Builds understanding, as well as it's a vital tool for nation building. Once, look at the ecosystem of businesses, the group that Yonna has, their vision as a management. Where did they start? Mini market, maybe 2-3 employees. Then to wholesale, maybe a lot more employees. Then to a money transfer system, as well as maintaining the very core of what has started it. Then moving into the microfinance, and he is thinking of getting into the mobile wallet business on the digital systems. These are examples of visionary leaders that you guys are lucky to have before you, and you can speak to them in languages that are L1, that are your mother tongue. Thank you very much. And you don't underestimate the vision of those leaders. And then leaders are tested sometimes by their ability to replicate themselves. And I'm sure their vision is being shared by all of you, and that's why you are here. Overall, the contribution to GDP, to the gross domestic product, at every point, Yonna is paying import tax for the commodities, is paying pay-as-you-go, payee, deducted from you people contributing to the government, and is preparing also for your pension contributions to the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. Also, if I mention that, I will mention Sidi Kanye, your hands together for him. He left the place to set up GTSC, and then we look forward to a lot of the transport system being provided by him. But whether this is an entrepreneur, a sole trader who doesn't employ anybody, indigenous business is really important. Or whether even it's an enterprise like he's doing with employees, over 200 Gambians, paying the right taxes, operating in the right way. The ripple effect of that, and then the multiplier effect in the economy, in terms of creating wealth, in terms of employment, in terms of contribution to the gross domestic product of this country, but most importantly, promoting brand Gambia A Gambian business run by Gambians is competing with multinational. Your hands together for that. Now, how do we assist them? Should we just be praise-singing what they have done right now? No. We have to look for ways of supporting such indigenous businesses as a government, as a people of this country, and as individuals working and believing in the vision. And in my best view, to really prepare a better business support, what they call timely and fit-for-purpose advice. My brother, Mr. Morong, has done the rounds in the world and decided that, look, all this knowledge I have gathered in different countries, I can better contribute to the socio-economic development of my country by setting up a consultancy and sharing my knowledge with the country, and also replicating success stories of what I have rolled over in other places, in other countries, to this country. And then he's been phenomenal in the strategic direction of key institutions in this country. And I want you to put your hands together for him. And then why is that? His entire purpose is one of the better business support systems that we could do to provide timely, fit-for-purpose advice. If you had gone to Srifo when he started the corner mini market at Kanyikunda in Bakau and tell him today you'll be employing 200 and something staff or one day, he'll probably say, yes, I have the vision. But if you have gone at that time and said, register with the central bank, get your license, open branches everywhere, get counting machines that detect counterfeit, he'll be looking at you and say, are you okay? I'm just running a mini market. So the advice would have been good, but it was probably not timely. So we all need to give timely and fit-for-purpose advice to support this kind of initiatives so that they can go to the next level. Some of you will see a fellow committing fraud. Rather than blow the whistle to save the institution, you will say, ninga report iba bailale. My friend, he should be bite. He should be out of that institution. And then what I'm encouraging you to do, you have to believe in the vision of Yonna. You have to understand the importance of taking it to a completely different level. And you are part of this formula. Sirifo and Modu Baro cannot do this alone. And because of that, you have to be ambassadors of the institutions. You have to be ambassadors of yourselves. Now, if somebody is perpetrating fraud, and then your only fear is not the downfall of the institution, but the bad name you will get by reporting him to fire him, you should be fired yourself. You have no space there. So endeavor to give the right advice at the right time. Support the business so that we can grow brand Gambia and Yonna can be a shining example. We have to improve access to finance. There has been several projects coming. And then now there are several on the pipeline. In most cases, rather than seek the services of our dearest brother Marong, we want somebody to babu. We have the complex. We think they learn better than we do. We went to their universities, we beat them there, and we brought the results. And when we meet with them, they know exactly what we have done. Now, what complex do we have? Not to seek the services of Gambians, to run these projects for us where the income and the revenues will stay here. We have classical examples of Pan-African governments. Rwanda is a classical example that said no to the Bretton Woods institution at some point. It was tough, but they are making headways and they are an example in the world now. What is stopping us as Gambians to entrust the meager resources we have, the projects that we have respectfully earned as a sovereign nation, and help Gambians or give it in the right hands for patriotic Gambians who have done the rounds like Mr. Marong and come back to say it's time for national building or nation building, to build capital, increase the base. Now, Yonna is targeting to be a microfinance. I can actually see the potential of it dominating the financial market. So what can I do to collaborate with him? What capital does he need? What asset base does he need to fire on all cylinders to get to the different level? What financial partnerships can I link him to? Yonna may be Gambian, but I may have another country with another name, another company in another country with another name, who can collaborate with Yonna, and they can use their competitive advantages in both countries and then structure something forward so that we will be multinational as well and we will benefit from the knowledge gain of the different competitive advantages in the different regions. How do we enable access to investable opportunities for Yonna, for the indigenous business? This I'm saying it's for the entire indigenous business, but Yonna brought us here today. I'm on their ticket. So if you don't see yourself in it, I'm sorry. I'm going to continue to promote Yonna in this because they gave me the reason to stand before you and actually tell you how we can inspire ourselves to build a brand that is recognizable for this country. I've talked about stronger connection, harnessing the power of knowledge gained. I've also talked about that. But the better sharing of information about commercial opportunities that we can do, we must move away from the concept of, well, Gambia, if you want to go far, there's a saying that says if you want to go far, you go with others or something like that. It's the opposite in Gambia. They'll tell Nila Fatala, Kanamo Samba, Ibe Draglale. You know, most cases they will say, just go alone, they will waste your time. No. Let's begin to look at the strategic benefits of coming together and putting our heads together and working, supporting one another, and getting to the next level. And I think that will be a good support mechanism. Now, my final point that I'm going to talk about is digitalization. Now, if you were a conventional business that relied entirely only on money transfer, and what tells you that your leaders are reading the wall, they understand what is at stake, they understand where the wall is going to in terms of social media, in terms of digitalization, in terms of digitizing the economy. So they are working ahead. It's a strategy. Now, if a financial institution now just wants to continue doing ordinary, take the reference and pay the guy, you will soon be out of business. And then he knew where things are coming up now is the MFI. If they tell you the women who we respect, and women in this hall should put their hands together, I have a lot of respect for them. If the world was to start all over and God asks me, I'll be a woman. And I respect all of you, my dear sisters. But if you see our mothers in the narcos, the amount of efforts they do to contribute to the sustainability of the food supply, it's not supported. We don't even take them for serious. And most of us, our school fees were paid through those narcos. Now, the MFI will have the opportunity to harness this group of women. There are funds that are coming. They are matching grant funds. Now, what can you do in collaboration with your management to access such fundings, legitimately for that matter, and apply them to improve capacity for those up-country, so that the woman going to the rice fields in Yonna will begin to access the right funding to scale up. We've always talked about 3 A's and 3 E's. The availability, the affordability, and then the accessibility. Then you talk about the 3 E's that talks about the employment, the export, and the entrepreneurship. Now, when financial services are affordable, and they are available, and they are accessible, this is what happens. You begin to grow. Their entire vision, your management, and I'm sure some of you buy into this strategy, is to ensure financial services are available to every Gambian. They are affordable by reduced money transfer fees or transaction fees. But they are accessible by rolling out over 80 to 86, somebody gave me the number, but I know it's more than 80 outlets. By opening every shop, it's not the wealth that they have. They want the financial services to be accessible, available, and affordable. Now, when it comes to the 3 E's, I'll give a simple example. Look at the Gambia during the mango season. There is a particular brand of mango that all of you know, Jurola. So during that time, Jur has a very short period of harvesting period. Now, we all go for jur. What do? We stuff it in our fridge. It's peeled off. And if you have a manual, that will be her entire job. I don't have one, so I'm not looking for one too. So the cameras should take that. But I'm just trying to explain, we consume it without processing it. If we continue to consume what we locally produce without processing it, we wouldn't add value, we wouldn't create employment, and there will be no entrepreneurship. I'm sure you have a grasp of the 3 E's. If we start to process this mango juice, now what we do, we take the raw mango. Some Gambians have tried very well. They cannot process it, but all they do is grade it, put it in a refrigerated container, and send it outside. We're exporting our employment. Because those mangoes could have been processed into mango juice and so many other things, and then it will create employment as we are adding value. So the vision of Yonna, in my own view, is very different from the average Gambian who only knows he will consume jur within a month or 2 and jur is over, then that's the end. If you go around the mango season to certain villages and you see the amount of fruits that is wasted, you'll be surprised and you will be asking Gambians, where are you at the end of the day to process these things? There are some institutions that have started it. We hope they will continue to add value to it, and then but we'll continue to do what we are doing. What has been disturbing us finally, Mr. MC, so if you give me chief guest of speaker, you have to allow me to talk to the people. Your hands together, man. Gambians, you'll be talking sense, and they'll just be looking at you as if you are falling from some strange land. I'm actually from Farafenni, went to Armitage, and come over here. I know nowhere else but Gambia. And then I've not studied in Accra. Sorry, Mr. MC. I studied in London, but I studied most of it here. I don't want to bring my story because it's not the order of the day, but it should inspire some of you. I'll open a small window to say I started as a cashier in 1999 at Trust Bank. And then after 23 years, I rose through the ranks to become the deputy managing director today. It was tough. It was really tough because I had to take care of my ailing parents. They are both of blessed memory. May Allah grant them Jannah. And then I didn't want to travel. I said if I go, although my parents has a dozen kids, but knowing that if I go away, the way I want to take care of them, I will not be able to. I was an A-grade student, and Becca can tell you about that, and the brother I shared something with. But I just needed to stay put, take care of parents, try to study, and continue doing what I am doing. So for me, Trust Bank was the perfect fit. Despite the hurdles, they provided the opportunity for me to improve my educational standing, and I became a chartered accountant in 2004. So I came back, and then my dad said, why didn't you study in this country? I said, the paper I wanted, I had done 11 out of the 14 papers. I needed these 3 papers outside. And then here comes the hurdle. I went to London, and they tell me the 3 months program is for repeaters. You are sitting for the first time. I said, give me the opportunity. And then they came back and said, you've been doing UK variant. We've discontinued that. We are doing international variant. I said, give me the opportunity. I was buying Red Bull. The Red Bull that is coming here is compromised. The Red Bull I was drinking is a 1 pound drink. You will not sleep for 36 hours. In fact, for 48 hours. Because sometimes you struggle to sleep. You go to bed and you close your eyes, you will still not sleep. That kind of efforts is what is expected to be harnessed. As I said, it's just a small window to encourage you, but I hate to blow my own trumpet. But it's something I had to go through to get. I decided to do it in 3 months on an international variant, and didn't even wait for my result. Came home and got chartered. So that was because of my commitment to come back home and do my quota. I was offered pounds that could have been very enticing to stay there. But finally, you've seen people coming home to really set up something. They've done the rounds, and they understand that their intelligence could only be applied in this country to help change attitudes and help change visions, and mold future leaders. And then this is what I have learned, and this is what I have shared with Mr. Barrow, your general manager. It's the same feeling I share with the founder and CEO and everyone else on this high table. I will conclude by saying this. To Yonna staff, please put your hands together to support your leadership. To Gambians, yeah, you should clap for that, definitely. And I didn't hear the claps well. Yeah. To Gambians, let's be patriotic. Let us see this man as an example, somebody with a vision to transform the way financial services are done in the Gambia. Let us all put hands on deck to support him to get this to the place and the level he wanted to do it. I could have said, I'm working for a financial institution, which is a bank. And then, we don't want to deal with them. Not in any arrogant way, but it's the competition. But I'm looking at the strategy on the contrary. I also humbly said, on the board of an MFI, I wouldn't mention because they will say it's free service here. So I really see the competition, but I see the opportunity to talk to you people to share the same view for a better Gambia that is larger than every trivial difference that we are trying to identify between us. Gambia, brand Gambia needs to be promoted. Not brand tribalism, not brand bipartisanship, not brand boycotting anybody. Everybody on the table, hands on deck, we move. Okay? And then to the leaders of Yonna, to Mr. Toure and Mr. Barrow, if you get to harness this kind of young, energetic leaders, please don't play with their wisdom and commitment. You don't have to stop here. You are challenged today to bring us back into this hall 1 year later and tell us the MFI is flying, the commodity trade is flying, the Bureau de Sands is flying, and now we are looking into bringing a bank and a transport agent and a travel agent. Business amut foreigner, that's what they used to say. So we want this energy that we have, my humble self and my honest brothers and sisters on this side. We are pleading that don't slow down our energy. We have believed in your brand. We have believed in your vision. We are committed to going with you as long as you are on the right path. If you start misbehaving, what will we do? We leave them there and we move. I hope we don't get there. Support them. Let them support you. Let us promote Yonna. Let us promote Gambian-owned. Let us promote our indigenous businesses. Let's work hard to bring the best out of us and inspire a whole generation and then hand over a Yonna that is a multinational registered on the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you very much.
Once more, can we rise up and give a big round of applause again? Can we do that again? Can we all rise up? Let's clap, please. Let's clap for Mr. Mbub. Thank you very much. Mr. Mbub, those response describes far more eloquently than any words of mine could do how much that memorable and inspiring address was appreciated by everybody who had it here today. There is a saying goes that I cannot start, but the beginning of it or the end of it which says, if you want to test the man's character, you give him power. Leaving United Kingdom for the Gambia, just for the betterment of this country, is definitely appreciated by young Gambians. You spoke with great worth and great generosity about the Gambia and Gambian people. You've done justice to the topic. On that note, I would love to say thank you very much for coming here today. But more interestingly, you've talked about creation of employment. I wonder if 160 people are not employed today, what would it create for the country? Probably illegal migration, probably criminology, and other activities which might not really be good for their lives in the future. You've talked about inclusiveness and participation in any of our development activities, which is core in any development process. Making efforts to ensure that we meet our dreams. Not just to sit and say, ni ale men sa fe jongo kunna abe o sodlal janna be fala. Effort has to be there. You have to go and find it, and I believe we have learned something from you. You've talked about sensitivity around business, which is important, and I believe anyone who wishes to make success in business must have to be really sensitive about the business environment. The vibrant business environment, which you've talked about, the visionary leadership in any business, it's important. Leadership is important to ensure that employees are being motivated, to ensure that once we hold employees to account, we meet our obligations as leaders. This is great, and we really appreciate it. Timely and fit for purpose advices. This is why we're here today. If Mr. Toure had to rush and said I was going to establish this today, the day he was in Bakau, it was going to be a different story. But the advices were being adhered to. He had to take his time and include people and work with people, and to ensure that consult people when it comes to decision making, but not just to consult them, but to incorporate their decisions. I'm really grateful. Better information sharing in order to trickle down the information from employees to managers and managers to employees. Value addition to our local products, which is great, so that we can really ensure food sustainability and food security for ourselves in our country. And here takes me to the tip that I have for the day, the 3 A's and the 3 E's. You've talked about availability, you've talked about availability, you've talked about accessibility and affordability. These are quite important, and I think looking at Yonna network today, you can really see these 3 A's. Can we give the institution a round of applause for that? Your E's, creation of employment, which is really great, entrepreneurship, and remind me the final E, exports. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Mr. Chair, Managing Director, ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, having been heard from Mr. Mboob, as he concluded his deliberation on patriotism, doing things together, loving your country, not be self-centered, this takes us to the second speaker of the day. Auntie Fatou, Thank you very much. And I think from here, we would love to get a short break, and we go and have our lunch, and we come back here probably, and
let's just go to the presentation and we finish. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. Let's do it. Quickly go to the lesson now. All right. Yeah, taking off will take us 1 hour again. Okay. All right. They need to go.
All right, and another signal again to continue the presentation so that we exhaust the presentations and we go have lunch and have prayers, then we can come back and to progress with the activities. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I do not need to elaborate more about my mentor, so inspiring someone, Mr. Lamin Sanyang is from Fonyi Kalaji, right? He is a good neighbor to me. And, he went to Nusrat High School, and from there he went to Gambia College. And I don't know when it was, whether it was Yundum College then. Gambia College, really. Yes, Gambia College. And, then to University of the Gambia to study his BSc. And Mr. Sanyang did his master's in Taiwan. And currently pursuing his PhD in Malaysia. So Mr. Sanyang has been here with us last year. Mr. Sanyang works at the University of the Gambia, but just a little bit back, upon completion of his BSc at the University of the Gambia, he was given an opportunity to work as admin assistant to the University of the Gambia before he progressed to pursue his master's. Mr. Sanyang, I think the society will not be better without teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lamin Sanyang of the University of the Gambia.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Put this here. Good afternoon, colleagues in the high table, distinguished guests, staff of Yonna, journalists here present, and all other protocols observed. It's a pleasure being here with you today as well, just as it happened last year, where Yonna as an institution celebrate and award deserving staff as a way of motivating them to motivate others to put Yonna on a pedestal that is worth celebrating and emulating. Yonna has been very consistent, it appears, have been very committed, and as well ready to serve its mission for not only the betterment of the founder and his team, but as well the Gambia as a nation. So therefore, it is quite important, and I'm privileged and glad to be with you this year as well. Mr. Mbub, my brother, who of course we did not know each other before, but when I looked at his face, I told him, are you related to Sidi? Sidi was my university colleague and also at the Gambia College. I was not the least surprised when he stood on the podium to deliver his statement as the guest speaker. He is as brilliant as his brother. Mr. Ture Sanyang, he's converted to Sanyang. I have not known so much about Mr. Ture last year when I came to this occasion. But I can tell you what I have heard about him is something that is worth inspiring all of us. It is not so common for somebody who has gone through an Arabic educational orientation in this country to do what he has done, which means he has broken what we call the barriers. I'm sure a lot of us, when we have a family member who is going through the Islamic educational orientation, the best we think he could do is being an imam or ustaz. But he has defied the odds, and today he's been celebrated for being an entrepreneur and hiring over 200 young Gambians. I have been asked to choose a topic to deliberate on. That I will add what we call ethics and its impact on organizational performance. Work ethics and organizational performance are two concepts that, of course, has garnered a lot of concerns, most especially in our part of the world. That's the developing world, or Africa, I would want to make reference to, and particularly the Gambia. If we had followed, or if we have been following trends on social media, from deliberations by activists, and of course, from a lot of discussions, we as a nation have been considered to be flouting a lot of ethical issues. But for any organization to thrive, ethics and performance are critical. For so many years, a lot of attention has been drawn to ethics and performance as a result of their importance. Research generally has shown a positive relationship between ethics and performance, which means if people are ethical, we expect them to perform better than those who are unethical. This attention, that is attention to work ethics and performance, are a concern all over the world, and most especially in our part of the world, for several reasons. both locally and internationally. If you look at work ethics, Mr. Mboop mentioned this in his deliberation. It has component of commitment. So therefore, it involves commitment to the value and importance of hard work. And as we've heard from Mr. Mboop, Mr. Toure is able to achieve what he has achieved today as a result of commitment and hard work. Also, it's a somewhat beliefs about the moral superiority of hard work over leisure, pride over carelessness, sacrifice over profligacy, and over unearned income, and positive over negative towards work. In any case, as you can hear, or as I have said earlier, commitment, hard work are key components of work ethics. Being positive about work is a critical component of work ethics. Therefore, as you work at Yonna, it is quite important for you to imbibe some of these critical components of work ethics in your life, for you to advance the cause and mission of Yonna to become a leading microfinance in this country. If you have had an opportunity to read Vision 2020 of the Gambia, it has clearly stated that an average Gambian is affected by a number of negative attitudes towards production and social life, including what we refer to as maslaha, that is compromising to the point of condoning wrongdoing. And I'm glad the skit that was played here by two young men and two ladies was a clear demonstration, or was a typical example of the issue of maslaha. You could see somebody bringing someone else's document and demanding you pay him. If you had compromised, that would mean you had acted unethically. And acting unethically could cause not only you as an employee, but your institution or your organization or Yonna as an institution hugely. So by all means, try to avoid things that are procedurally wrong, things that are legally wrong in the dispensation of your responsibilities as employees of Yonna. Greed also has been stated as part of those things or those attitudes that are pulling our nation behind. Corruption, nepotism, patronage, inconsiderable consumption to the detriment of personal savings, fatalism, and a want of entrepreneurial drive. It further asserts, that's the Vision 2020, that the extended family system has created financial dependencies by the majority of a few, contributing to laziness, covetousness, lavishness, particularly with regards to public funds or organizational funds. In this case, for Yonna, as you work for Yonna, you know you are dealing with funds of shareholders. So what we are simply trying to say here is from the Vision 2020, it is clear there that sometimes our extended family systems put us in trouble. And it creates what we call laziness. Everyone depending on one person in the family. You are entrusted with funds of your shareholders. You are entrusted with funds of the public. But because you want to satisfy the demands of your family, you mess up at the end of the day. This is an unethical behavior, and it could affect the performance of your organizations or the country. So we should try by all means to avoid anything that will put us under that kind of a pressure. Although there has not been any empirical study that has specifically addressed the issue of ethics and performance in the Gambia, however, concerns of poor work ethics leading to low productivity have been raised by people from different walks of life or strata of society in our country. As I said earlier, on social media, at workshops, trainings, there has been the issue of ethics or the lack of good ethical practices have been extensively discussed. And a lot of Gambians are expressing the lack of good ethical practices, most especially in our public sector. This, of course, is not only happening in the public sector, but even in private sector, and of course, the financial services sector. Fraud has been reported. I'm sure you are all aware of the fraud case that happened, I think, was it at the SL branch, Access Bank, some few years ago, where, of course, some staff went away with, I think, over $1 million of Access Bank. So those are things sometimes family pressure could put people into it or greed. As employees of Yonna microfinance organization, the ethical behavior you demonstrate would be determined by the level of tolerance, diversity, transparency, and positive work attitude at work. At this juncture, I want to talk about some instances of best ethical practices that shape the professional development of employees. Among them is one, honesty. At all times, employees, particularly from financial institutions, are respected for their honesty and integrity. You are bound by your consent to be honest, truthful, and sincere when dealing with your colleagues, your customers, and the organization you serve. You will be tempted. And temptations are high in the financial services industry. But your ability to demonstrate restraint mold you to better financial professionals. Another important thing is integrity. That is unity between what we say and what we do. is a highly valued threat. But it is more than just consistency of character. Acting with integrity means we adhere strongly to a code of ethics, which implies trustworthiness and incorruptibility. Corruption, corruption, corruption has been a major problem, a major issue that is being discussed in all quarters of our country. Wherever you go, most especially in the public sector. Just quite recently, we've heard about the COVID, the audit report on the health sector, the millions that, of course, were spent, either not authorized or where due diligence or processes or procedures were not followed. Please, employees of Yonna and anyone who has the opportunity to be following us in this lecture, as Gambians, we need incorruptible people. Our nation is in a very critical stage. You look at our health sector. I am sorry, I'll say this and publicly. Some few days ago, I went to the RVTH. To my dismay and disappointment, some basic tests at RVTH could not be conducted. They have something to do with blood. Some blood tests, basic. Then I interacted with the registry staff. What he told me was, this gentleman seated here is a private person using at a hospital for people to pay him privately to run that test. Where do you find this happen? It's only in the Gambia where you can find this. And of course, our supposedly the main referral hospital, where somebody can boldly tell you that this one is a private person. When they take your blood sample, he could run this test for you and you pay him privately. Basic test, blood test. That equipment, they said, does not belong to the hospital, but belongs to a private individual or a private company, and the machine is operating within our hospital. Is that acceptable anywhere? That is the highest level of corruption. I am not sure if, of course, the authorities at RVTH are aware of this, or the Ministry of Health are aware of this. I cannot imagine the amount of money that is pumped into the health sector during this COVID period for you to tell me that basic equipment for blood test, a private individual, a private machine, is what is housed at the RVTH to run that test. We are a nation that requires, I think, what we call divine intervention, maybe. Sorry. It is really sad, but what can we do? We have to continue talking about it. Being a professional of integrity means being consistently striving to be the best person you can be in all your interactions with others. And this interaction spans from your colleagues, your employees, and the management of your organization. In any way you deal with them, make sure you demonstrate the highest level of integrity. It means you practice what you preach. you walk the talk and do what you believe is right based on reason. Respect and dignity is another important attribute that each of you should try to ensure is part of your life. When we talk about respect and integrity, in your case, always try to, of course, treat your customers, your clients, and all those affected by your organization with dignity and respect. In addition, a respectful professional in a microfinance organization like yours promotes best business practices for the organization. Why? Because customers, your colleagues, or your employees and society at large will much more willingly patronize you as a business and work hard on its behalf if that business is perceived as caring about the community and the people it serves. So it's also important for you to demonstrate respect and dignity at all times. Due diligence is also very important as part of best ethical practice that will lead to better performance as an organization. You are required to be what we call bearers of all transactions. You are bound to take responsibility for actions while executing your job. In Mr. Mbob's deliberation, he had talked about fraud, which is one of the unethical practices that happens in, of course, financial institutions. Seeing your colleague committing fraud and keeping quiet over it because you think if you report this person, he will be fired, and you do not want him fired. Do you know the implications of that? The implications of that are far-reaching. It is not just going to affect him, it will affect him, affect you, affect the shareholders, and affect the nation. Because as a result of his fraud, if the institution is brought down on its knees, or if the institution gets to a point where it is difficult for it to meet its obligations, it means they might have to, of course, terminate the services of some of you. It is, of course, going to affect the government in terms of taxes that the institution is paying. It will affect entrepreneurs who rely on this institution to be able to have access to financing. So therefore, it is better for you to report that individual and necessary actions are taken as quickly as possible than delaying it for the entire system to be affected. Failure to follow or adhere to the guidelines, you have no other person to blame but yourself. And for the consequences of such as a lawsuit, official reprimands, loss of customers, loss of business, and loss of personal reputation. Many people confuse legal and ethical compliance. They are, however, totally different and call for different standards of behavior. The concepts are not interchangeable in any case, or in any sense of the word. The law is needed to establish and maintain a functioning society. Without it, our society would be in chaos. Compliance with these legal standards is strictly mandatory. If we violate these standards, we are subject to punishment as established by law. So before you run into that trouble, try as much as possible to go by the standards. Otherwise, you will find yourself in trouble with the law. Because I know Mr. Toure will not by any means allow one individual's negligence, or unethical practice to ruin the business that many Gambians are benefiting from. Therefore, compliance in terms of business ethics generally refers to the extent to which you, the employees, carry out businesses in accordance with applicable regulations, policies, and laws. Yonna has got their policies, they've got their laws, they've got their regulations. Make sure in the dispensation of your responsibilities, you act according to those guidelines, those regulations, those policies and laws. Always make sure whatever you do, observe due diligence and legal compliance of your organization or of Yonna. In fact, one way professionals deal with this is to adopt the core values of your organization at all times. And these core values includes codes of conduct. I'm sure Yonna has got code of conduct. Make sure everything you do falls within the codes of conduct. And also they have got what we call standard operating procedures. Make sure these standard operating procedures are followed. This kit was a demonstration of a typical standard operating procedure as far as Yonna is concerned. So essentially, when you look at ethics, it is a cross-cutting issue. And in any case, if employees demonstrate work ethics or good work ethics, it brings a lot of benefits to the organization. It impacts very well on its performance. It leads to better performance. And also, if you have good workplace ethics, it helps you to be able to develop, to control the behavior of employees. Workplace ethics helps in controlling the behavior of employees because you have what we call a system in place that guides you to know what is right and what is wrong as far as your conduct is concerned. And this will ultimately lead to what we call employee loyalty as far as the organization is concerned. Also, research has proven that besides salary, ethics is capable of influencing people to commit or not to commit crimes within the organization. So an organization that has got a good working ethical procedures, we expect that organization to have employees who, we cannot say 100% employees will not commit crimes, but the level at which crimes will be committed will be very much limited. And also it builds what we call positive relationship between the leadership of an organization and employees. And this leads to high performance as well. And finally, if you have a strong work ethics, it has the potentials of producing lasting employees' job performance. While weak work ethics can only drive for a while, but will ultimately lead to poor job performance. So ultimately what we are saying here is a situation where you have good work ethics, the expectation is better performance at the end of the day. And I'm sure all what we've just talked about in terms of ethics are what Mr. Toure and his team had demonstrated from the very beginning when this organization was established. And that is the reason why today we are here celebrating them for their achievements. As employees of Yonna, I would advise you to follow the footsteps of Mr. Toure and his management, because it is not so easy to be able to reach where they have been able to reach today. But I know one thing that has made them to achieve this much is because of the type of work ethics they imbibe over time. On that note, I would want to thank all of you and wish you all a prosperous new year and a more progressive year for Yonna. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sanyang, thank you very much. I think we need to send messages to our colleagues across the country and tell them that a great thing is going on in the Gambia today. This is a great lecture, not only for Yonna, but for every Gambian, every meaningful Gambian. But you've talked a lot about Gambia and Gambian environment, about ethics, but I really remembered some time ago when I got a lecture on Education and Professional Studies, EPS. If any teacher who went to college, you have to know about Education and Professional Studies. Ethics is very, very important, and its impact on performance, it's definitely something that we need to look at. To be unethical in a job place can destabilize an institution, can lead to fraud, as he talked about. It can lead to institution of very indisciplined civil service sector. And I think in order to have a disciplined civil service sector, ethics is very, very important. So I think I will conclude by saying in the Gambia, from your deliberation, I think we need a total character transplant, a total DNA changes in order to serve our nation as patriotic citizens. Mr. Sanyang, thank you very much. I am being reminded that from here we are moving straight to award presentation. And our award presentation this year, we have different award categories. And these award categories, each is awarding staffs who have done extremely well in the past 12 months of our business. Auntie Fatou, if the team is set for the award presentation,
I get it. Albaka. Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka. Mbare ki janna nun kuno bara tariaka.
Jannom Yonna Forex de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bele. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bele to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto ni kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata another enterprise sotale. Wala nyindiko.
Madam Sarata Sambu, the most outstanding staff of the year. Can we give a round of applause? Right. We move to the risk and compliance staff. Mr. Mboob will be awarding this, but I think just right now, Mr. Sanya has talked about compliance. So risk and compliance staff of the year goes to Mrs. Antoinette Correa or Miss Antoinette Correa, $10,000. Antoinette, we have Miss Antoinette Correa has won herself $10,000 for being very compliant. The next, yes, Miss Aissatou Kamara of Brikama 2 won herself $10,000 cash prize. Yes. Yes. Attendance award. Still unethical, to ensure that your work timing is really great. You adhere to company timings. This goes to Mr. Musa Jamjao of Janjambure branch. Musa was in office the third day of his marriage ceremony. Just to serve his customers. Musa, thank you very much for being out there for the company. This takes us to the most disciplined staff of the year. The most disciplined staff of the year goes to, how much is that? Goes to Mr. Bakari El Konta of Wasu branch, the most disciplined staff of the year. Bakari won himself $10,000. $10,000. Best customer service. Best customer service. This award goes to Ngone Jata. Ngone has won herself $20,000. Ngone Jata has won herself $20,000. Kauru branch. Kauru. Ngone Jata of Kauru branch. Best customer service. The Supervisor of the Year Award. The Supervisor of the Year Award goes to Mr. Ibrahim Sawane of Tabokoto Zone. Ibrahim has won himself $25,000. $25,000. Code of conduct, dress code for men. This goes to Mr. Modulamin JT of Tabokoto 1 branch. Modulamin has won himself $10,000 for dressing well to office all the times. For the female category award goes to Miss Fatoumata BCC of Bundung Bohol branch. Fatoumata is always in uniform. Fatoumata has never come to our office without uniform. Can you please give your hands together for Fatoumata? The uniform that the company has spent on, Fatoumata always put on her uniform to be in office. Fatoumata, thank you very much. Yes. Mr. Mbub, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that presentation. Commitment and passionate. Can we have Mr. Sanyang to help us do this presentation? Yeah. Commitment and passionate. The first award goes to Mr. Modu Silla of Reconciliation. Mr. Silla has won himself $5,000.
These are four entries. Huh?
Yes. Still on commitment and passionate, Mrs. Kunadi Jallo of Basse branch. Mrs. Kunadi Jallo for commitment and passionate. Kunadi has won herself $5,000. Can we have the supervisor receive this on her behalf? For commitment and passionate, still Modu Aliu Jallo of Basse 1 branch. Assistant Modu Aliu Jallo, commitment and passionate, very committed. $5,000 is for Modu Aliu Jallo. Commitment and passionate still, Miss Aissatou Bari of Marketing, Business Development and Customer Service. Miss Aissatou Bari, of all people, has won herself $5,000. Auntie Aisa, thank you very much. Yeah, this is what? Mr. Sayan, thank you very much. For proactive, this award goes to staffs that are very proactive, that are very responsive, who are very proactive, who are very responsive. And first on the list, we have Ibrahim Kurubali. Can we have Uncle Bekai Dabo to do this presentation for us? Ibrahim Kurubali has won himself $5,000 for being very responsive. Miss Jacqueline Mendy of Customer Service, Miss Jacqueline Mendy on the help desk, very responsive, has won herself $5,000. Mr. Musa Dambeli of Marketing and Business Development has won himself $5,000. Mr. Modulamin Sekan of Reconciliation has won himself $5,000 for being very proactive. Mr. Aliu Kamara, Supervisor, Brikama Zone, has won himself $5,000 for being very proactive. Mr. Michael Mendy of Tanjay Branch has won himself $5,000 for being proactive. I'm very sorry for that. Mr. Alpha Jallo of Reconciliation has won himself $5,000 for being proactive. Mr. Becker, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, can we have Mr. Marong to do this presentation for us? Appreciations of awards. Right. These are list of staffs who have served the company for more than 5 years. And quite unfortunately for me, they are all ladies. Can we give a round of applause to ladies? I think, Yonna, gender mainstreaming is a policy that you guys are really teaching institutions to really do. This is really great. So the first award goes to Madam Baji. Madam Baji has won herself $5,000 for her loyalty. Can we have the supervisor receive this? Can we have Ismaila? Miss Aissatou Silla of Farafenye 2 branch. Miss Aissatou Silla has won herself $5,000 for her loyalty. I said, thank you very much for staying with the company for all this while. Miss Aissatou has won herself $5,000. And again on the list, Mrs. Sarata Sambu has served this country, not just Yonna, for more than 7 years. She's a very loyal staff, promoting culture. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, madam. Still on the list, Mariama Jobate of Brusubi branch has won herself $5,000 for staying too long time with the company despite the hurdles and challenges. She's not in attendance. Mrs. Sona Jaune. Mrs. Sona Jaune has won herself $5,000. and the supervisor is receiving on her behalf for her loyalty to the company. Ms. Sunkari Toure. Ms. Sunkari Toure Assistant Operation. Ms. Sunkari Toure is not in attendance. Abdurrahman receives on behalf of Ms. Sunkari Toure. Abdurrahman, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Abdurrahman. Mrs. Fatou of postings. Miss Fatou has won herself $5,000 for staying with the company till this far. Mrs. Fatou Konate of Brikama Bar, very steady lady. Mrs. Fatou Konate, time hasn't given us, otherwise I'm going to be a little bit biased to say a little about you, but then permit me. She has won herself $5,000. Mrs. Adama Kamara of Bansang 1 branch has won herself $5,000 for staying with the company till this far. Miss Tida Kamara has won herself $5,000 for her loyalty to the company. Tida Kamara of Westfield branch. And Miss Aisatun Joy of Reconciliation and Compliance has won herself $5,000 for staying this far with the company. Mr. Marong. Thank you very much, Mr. Marong. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can we have Mr. Sidi Kanyi to help us do this presentation? This is a very important award. The most valuable staff of the year. I will never win this. The most valuable? No. Because I know the meaning of valuability. This award goes to Madam Kadi Sise of Accounts. Madam Kadi Sise, she can reconcile, she can post, she can correct errors. She's a working mother who will be in office till midnight. She left office after 2 a.m. last night. After 2 a.m. just to make sure that accounts are balanced and the company knows her standard. Madam, we are really proud of you. Madam, thank you very much. Madam will be asked home if she is sick. Madam will be asked home to go and take her sick child to the hospital. But I think, Madam, you really deserve this award. Thank you very much for this job. Length of service. Length of service. the person who has stayed in this company more than any other individual. Yalongal award nyinabara al binki waral bama waral al kotoma obejel. Who started this company? Whose effort employed me? I'm proud of her. Whose effort make me to stand here today and do this presentation? Without that, we cannot be here. If she has made a lot of frauds and mismanaged the funds, failed to adhere to the rules of the company, we wouldn't have been here today. She's more truthful. She taught me how to tell truth and how to be sincere and hit the nail on the head when it's time to tell the truth. This is no other person but Madam Khadijata of Operation. She has started the company with the proprietor and still she is in the company. Can we have Mr. Sise, Mr. Lamin Sise, to receive this award on behalf of Madam Khadijata? Madam Khadijata left the office and the next day she put to bed. She left the office this evening and the following day she put to bed. And it was really great. A lot of ladies will really finish eating their maternity leave before their birth, before their delivery. But then Madam left the office the next day and she put to bed. And we are really proud of her. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the baby and make him a very good Muslim and a very good servant of this country. And this takes us to the end of those important awards. And Uncle Sidi, thank you very much and for this presentation. They really deserve it. These are two ladies, and definitely these ladies, if you know who they are, you really give them not just this what we're doing, but then the words that we are giving out today are better than the cash prizes that we are definitely also issuing. Madam Khadijata, I'm really proud of her. She's versatile. You do something at your office, she will call you right away and tell you you've done this is wrong. Whether you accept or not, and she is still your best friend. She will be a best friend today, and tomorrow she will advocate for your dismissal because of not doing the right thing. She will advocate for your dismissal today, and tomorrow she will sit and praise your discipline. This lady, I cannot actually imagine how truthful Madam is. She's really a good lady. Madam Khadi Sise, I'm really proud of you and the rest of ladies who are here seated. The country is proud of you today. And thanks to all of you and the entire ladies of Yonna Foreign Exchange Bureau. My co-presenters, can we have Mr. Tumani Sani to help us do this presentation? These are special awards. These are special awards. Some may ask, what is special about it? Everything. The answer is everything. These are special awards. This first one goes to Auntie Meta Jamme, a support staff. Auntie Meta Jamme, a support staff, has won herself a certificate, a bag of rice, a 20-liter sunflower oil. Auntie Meta Jamme is a support staff. Mr. Abdurrahman Jallo, can we have Mr. Abdurrahman Jallo, a support staff, has won himself thank you very much, walking majestically to receive his award, has won himself a bag of rice, Yonna rice, and 20 liters sunflower oil, Yonna. Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman. Mr. Ibrahim Sane, support staff. Mr. Ibrahim Sane has won himself a bag of rice, Yonna rice, and 20 liters sunflower oil. Miss Aminata Fati, a support staff, has as well won herself a bag of rice, Yonna rice, and 20 liters sunflower oil. Mandi Fofana. Mandi Fofana, a support staff. Mrs. Mandi Fofana, a support staff, has won herself a bag of rice, Yonna rice, and 20 liters sunflower oil. Atulobe koiri ne fes. Mr. Patengom. Mr. Patengom, driver Yonna Enterprise, has won himself. Can we give Patengom a round of applause? If we call anybody who works for Yonna Enterprise, definitely let's appreciate that. Miss Fatou Matanyang, sales staff for Tabokoto Outlet, Yonna Enterprise, has won herself a bag of rice, 50 kilograms Yonna rice, and 20 liters of sunflower oil. Mr. Sergio Conte of Yonna Enterprise, a sales staff, a driver, has won himself a bag of rice, 50 kilograms of Yonna rice, and 20 liters of sunflower oil. Mr. Ansukante of Damfakunda branch. Mr. Ansukante of Damfakunda branch. Another special award goes to Base Damfakunda for winning himself 50 kilograms of Yonna rice and 20 liters sunflower oil. Mr. Mohammed Kamara of Bambo. Mr. Mohammed Kamara, everyone's uncle. The uncle of our institution. We're really proud of you for being an ambassador to the company. Mr. Maminan Joy, postings and head of compliance. Yonna Lamano, Sonde Mbinea, Imusia, na sunflower oil chaka ngamano into Lodom. Thank you very much, Mr. Njai. You really deserve this award. Thank you so much, Mr. Where is he? He's not here. Let's do it. This is CEO's award, which will be presented by Uncle Abbas. Uncle Abbas, can we have you on this stage to help us do this presentation? These are cell phones. Samsung Galaxy A32. The first award goes to Miss Aissatou Camara of Brikama 2. Miss Aissatou Camara. Mrs. Sarata Sambu of Oliyundum. If we are in schools, the teachers will say the best English students, the best mathematics students, and the best science student. So I give you that title for winning these best awards. The most outstanding staff of the year, one of the longest serving staff, and receiving a special award from CEO. And the Sarada, I'm proud of you today. Mr. Bakari El Konta. Mr. Konta, the most disciplined staff of the year, and as well receiving a special award from CEO. Miss Jacqueline Mendy. Miss Jacqueline Mendy, receiving CEO's award. Miss Jacqueline Mendy for proactive, and as well receiving a special award from CEO. Mr. Amadou Dabo of Busumbala branch. Mr. Amadou Dabo. Brikama zone is really doing something. Brikama zone is really doing something. Thank you very much, Mr. Dabo. I remember the day I asked you to Diabuku. You adhered to it and went. And here comes your appreciation. Miss Ngone Jata once more. Miss Ngone Jata of Kauru branch. Miss Ngone Jata of Kauru branch. Again, Ngone has won herself another award. She won customer service. The best customer service award gets to her. Mr. Modulamin Sekan. CEO's award again from Proactive. Another award comes your way. Thank you very much. You are too young. May Allah help you in this journey. You look smart and handsome, but it doesn't mean anything. Let nobody choose, please. Mr. Ibrahim Sawani. Mr. Ibrahim Sawani. This one. Mr. Ibrahim Sawani, the supervisor of the year, has again won another special award from CEO. Mr. Fatoumata BCC, Mrs. Oh, Miss. Don't blame the moderator. I'm really hungry. I am really thirsty too. I've not taken any water since I stood here. Yeah, I'm trying to manage, but then it hasn't been an easy journey for me. Dress code for ladies has won another award. Mrs. Fatou Konate. Mrs. Fatou Konate of Brikamaba, having received one of the longest serving staff award, here comes another award on her way. Mr. Musa Jamjao, having won himself Attendance Award of the Year 2021. Here comes another award on his way. A special award from CEO. Mr. Sambasi, a supervisor of Farafene zone. Let me have water. It's not safe for me. Really. Uncle Abbas, thank you very much. Please excuse me do this, even though it might not be really decent a little bit, but I had it to. Bismillah. Thank you very much, and I'm going to give this opportunity to the general manager, my immediate supervisor, to do this for them, and we are breaking off. Before that, and Mr. Barrow will be coming to do something quickly. But then we have to thank all of you for having been patient since in the morning till this time. It hasn't been easy for you. We are really hungry and thirsty, but despite the fact that you guys are still here, so thank you very much.
Good. Is it afternoon now or evening?
It's evening.
Yes. I just wanted to let all of you know that we appreciate each and every one of you here. So we appreciate each and every one of you here. Special thanks and appreciation goes out to our invited guests here, Mr. Mboob, and then Mr. Lang, my lecturer, and then Mr. Kanyi, Mr. Bekai Dabo, the media, and everyone invited here as part of Yonna family. Mr. Maron here is one of our consultants when it comes to business ideas. So he's going to make a general statement on behalf of the management and staff of Yonna, and so that he can thank each and every one of you for coming here today. And then we hope to see each other next year, inshallah. And then I'm so many interesting things will be coming our way. So let's be focused. Let's stay strong. Next year, inshallah, when we all meet here, you're going to see another business addition to our already business division, inshallah. Thank you so much. And then I hereby invite Mr. Marong to make a general remark on behalf of the staff and management of Yonna.
Assalamu alaikum. Very good evening. I think sitting at the high table, I just got quite happy, and I'm happy that I can now have this conversation with you, in addition to the important key messages that you've heard from the guest speakers. Now, importantly, I think this is a huge success. And I'm happy as a consultant for Yonna to be part of what you're doing here today. Now, this is what we call an away day, and it's an important part of what we call team building. Now, sitting at the high table without much presentation from any of you, but from the guest speakers, I think we can all understand Yonna's journey. Now, I think for those staff who've just been celebrated in terms of their number of years of service, you can hear 5 years, and I think most of you have been here that long. Now, that's an important journey, and I think the history has just been narrated as part of what you've heard from the guest speakers, but also in your interactions, I think you've kind of understand how far you have come. Now, I think a company like Yonna, a local company like Yonna, certainly would want to have all of you in this journey into the future. And I think you have had in the guest speaker messages things like the vision and all the ethics that have come in their deliberation. And I certainly think you still would want to go with Yonna into the future. And for us as consultants, I think there are several reasons why a company would want to have all of you into that future. Certainly, it looks like Yonna have taken the youthful demographic dividend in the Gambia in the way they have structured their business. And I think importantly, that same youthful dividend is going to be taken into consideration in the way they will expand in the years ahead. This is important, and I think the commitment is here already. You have demonstrated in this year and over the years the amount of passion and energy that brings you to work, and I can see a very good cohesion, a very good team cohesion. As names are being called to come for their prizes, I can see all of you celebrating with the awardees. Now, that is important because the shareholders can't give you that kind of passion, but I think you've already got that passion for yourself. And I think it's also important for this country because Yonna's role in terms of expanding financial inclusion is demonstrated over the years. And I think development practitioners would tell you that being in the decade of action, I think it's much more important to have indigenous businesses like Yonna to play its part in terms of their contribution to development, but also getting to that last mile, what UNCDF would call last mile. The banks, and I think Mr. Mboub have rightly mentioned it, the banks cannot go that far with the bricks and mortar type of structures, but I think with intermediaries like Yonna, certainly we can see and we can be hopeful of good financial inclusion in this country, but also the countries that surrounds us. And I think the fabric of where Yonna started has not gotten lost in all these years in the journey. The supply chain is intact, and they've maintained their commitment to bring various commodities to the market here, maybe not for their own consumption, certainly, but also as part of their contribution to poverty alleviation. This is great. Now, the microfinance that is just starting is also very important because the banks cannot do that for everybody. But then you and I can reach, as Mr. Mbu mentioned, you and I can reach that market woman. And that market woman can understand to come to UNA. But I think even in addition to the microfinance, talking to Mr. Toure, I think they still have a lot in their minds. They have a lot in their plans to do here. So I think in as much as you've done the accounts already and you are happy that shareholders understand what sits in the balance sheet, I think this is also a moment in terms of getting along with the celebration to understand their commitment in terms of the perspectives into the future. The perspectives into this future, I think you can see from their commitment that they want to do more. They want to do more, and I think that is important for all of us in this decade of action. Decade of action meaning we are moving towards 2030. That is important for United Nations, but also it's important for the Gambia. Because we've not got everything that we want as a country. So I think the challenge here to management, which certainly is in their thinking, because each time they come to me, they are not coming to me to help them with what they already do well for themselves, but they are coming to me to help them understand that future. How do they understand, how they understand maybe a certain feasibility about some undertaking they want to do. So I think it's important for us to, get management buy-in in terms of some of those things that the shareholders are already considering, but also your buy-in into some of those future developments. Because clearly, as the most important assets, and this means when they phoned me last evening to say, well, we have an event, they didn't say, well, computers in the office are going to be in this hall. They said, we're going to talk to our people. We are already with our people a whole day away, the team building. So I think the emphasis is about their people in the room, their most valuable resource, the human resource. And I think we can, understand how that human resource is going to do multiple businesses for UNA, but also how that human resource is going to transform and build back better in this country. From the United Nations perspective, and certainly from UNA perspective, there is a lot of need for countries to not just be resilient due to the COVID impact, but also to start building recoveries for the economy. So I think we know that COVID has impacted a lot of businesses in the world, and the Gambia is not an exception. But certainly, none of UNA's business is within that mortality. And here I'm not talking about the human mortality, but I'm talking about the mortality in terms of businesses. So UNA has been able to operate some very good sustainable businesses over the years. And I think the perspective is clear in terms of expanding into microfinance and beyond. And their commitment to you, I think, is clear, because what is dished out today is awards, certificates, but also some money. If I ask who doesn't need money, you all need money. Yeah? So, and I think over there at the high table, we are appreciating Mr. Toure. Mr. Mbuba and myself have just been telling him, look, I think you're doing well. You're doing well to these people, not just putting them in the room, giving them paper. Yeah, suddenly you've given them paper, but the paper is money. And I can hear I can hear Mr. Mbub jokingly telling some of them, can I keep this for you? Suddenly, nobody responded in the affirmative to say, yes, Mr. Mbub, you are a trusted banker of Trust Bank. So as a trusted banker of Trust Bank, keep this money for me. And I've also heard the MC saying, well, names after names have won this for themselves. They've won this for themselves. This person have won 20,000 for herself, 25,000 for himself. Suddenly, you did the work and you've produced results. So the management and the shareholders are here to celebrate you, but also as part of this team building to just get all the commitment on one sheet of paper, just as they've done 24 hours ago in terms of the accounts. But they can't go into the future with those accounts without you, and I think it's important that it's clear you hearing from them how they appreciate you, how they celebrate you, but also in the perspective, what do they want to do with you? What they want to do with you, things that they've come into me to maybe sound my mind in terms of whether this is a business case, a good business case or not, is things to do with their expansion in the Gambia and possibly in the sub-region. Because I think these people have traveled. The commodities they go in for, they don't just tell the suppliers, well, ship me X ton of oil and all these things. But they go into those societies to see what is happening. Just as they didn't decide to sit in those countries, living there permanently. But then I think once they go in there, they are clear in terms of what they want to bring in here and what they want to set up here. So they are very serious-minded business people. And I can tell you from my discussion with them, I think they have conquered so far the challenges that would have probably get them closed shop. So they are at a point where they've not just been resilient over the years, but they're at a point where they've become business leaders and very intelligent people. And I think you trust them. Don't you trust them? I mean, you are giving them all the reason to trust, but then they're also giving you all the reason for you to trust them. And I can see on this drop down, delivering your promises. So I think you are seeing here how you all would be delivering those promises into the future. But I can tell you that these are very serious business people. They wouldn't let you down. I think from the balance sheet, I didn't see it, but I think from the Facebook interactions, when I saw the photos that the accounts have been closed at late night, and these are the accounts people celebrating their closure, their year-end closure, they are saying that, well, we are ready to go into the future with certainty of going concern. Now, as business people, I think you need to understand when they present those accounts to you, or when you prepare those accounts and they sort of hand them over to management and the board, and they are all promising themselves about going concern. Because those are just not numbers, but there is a commitment to stay in business. But also there is a commitment to expand. There is a commitment to transform. There is a commitment to be exemplary leaders. And I think from the guest speakers and from all the guests that are invited, I think you can see that they have surrounded themselves with possibly also some more intelligent people. So from day one, you can see that they've set themselves for success. Because they are intelligent as leaders, but also they've come here to this event with some other people who are also intelligent and committed to help them. Now, this is important for us as consultants because, you know, we have this popular French word called accompagnement. And when I bring that word here to the Gambia, I was like, how do we interpret this? How do we break this down? You know, because this is a Gambia where, from what we understand, is a Gambia where people work in silos. You know, this is where a Gambia where people don't work together. You know, but I think we can see how Gambians are doing away with that. Because Mr. Mbub has just told us that, well, he could have stayed away by telling Mr. Turo, well, I can't come to your event because we are competing. But he's made it clear that they are looking at opportunities. As long as Mr. Ture offered those opportunities, they will work together. So that means as staff, you are not seeing people around you at this event who are fighting each other. But these are people who have got commitment to work together. And I think you all know the history of Trust Bank. We are also consultant for Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. And I think it's important to understand that Yonna has not just been paying you checks for your net pay, but also they've been taking care of your commitment as good citizens by saying, well, you've been deducted from tax, so let's pay it to GRA. They fulfilled that for you. But then they've also been fulfilling your Social Security contributions. And naturally, Mr. Mbub works for Trust Bank, and you are contributing to Social Security, and Social Security have stake, or Social Security have stake in Trust Bank. So why would Mr. Mbub then think that he shouldn't work with you people, or he shouldn't come to your event? So you see the logic, how people should work together. So when I tell people, I say, well, people might not understand what the French mean by accompaniment, but you know, I think we should accompany each other. So that's what we do. You know, we are committed to accompany institutions and businesses, and whether that is Abbas there who works for the United Nations, we're also the consultant for United Nations. So I think it's important that into that future, you understand that they will not be working with you in isolation, but they'll be working with whoever can bring success into the future for all of you.
So this also is what we are also doing. We are paying Social Security pensioners, you know, and also Treasury pensioners as well, as part of service addition. So Mr. Kai just reminded me that let me also let you know that.
Oh, in terms of Social Security?
Yeah, we are paying that, you know, pension every month, pensioners will come.
Right. Oh, yeah, yes.
So we are also paying that in our offices also.
That's right.
So I think the space here for financial inclusion, I mean, coming back to maybe the last mile that UNCDF talks about, within that last mile, I think what you've been trying to do over the years, you've also been, you know, I think attending to pensioners. And you know, in the last couple of years, the plight of pensioners has been a concern. Because if pensioners are not getting their pensions on time, I don't think you want to be in that situation when you retire. So Yonna has been an intermediary, providing timely payment to the pensioners, which is good. So that means across the country, all the pensioners, can just sit from wherever they are and then access their pensions from you in all your network. I mean, that's the kind of financial inclusion we're all talking about. Financial inclusion, and then pensioners in the last couple of years, I think statutory is about 60 years. So you want that 60-year-old person to go to a trust bank or another commercial bank and queue in there? No. But I think, with Yonna's intermediary, we've been seeing your contribution to provide timely payments to those pensioners, which is good. Now, with the mobile money in the horizon, that means Yonna would now also be able to provide services to people, who can sit at the comfort of their houses, their homes, to have financial services. That's also important, because not everybody can maybe access a bank account. And I think there is already a lot of millions of people in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, who are on bank. They don't have bank accounts. Now that means with the mobile application, the financial technology in the horizon, Yonna can potentially solution much of that unbanked in the Gambia with you. Because most of you are now going to help them in terms of their onboarding. But also your branches would serve continuously for their pay in, pay out. But also your technology will help them, get some services, whether those services are plane tickets they want to buy, or whether those services are, in fact, they want to buy fish at the market, so that the fish woman at the market is not worried about not having a bank account and having all her sales stolen at the market. Now, these are very important indicators for our poverty elevation. And I think it's clear that the Gambia government can't do all that by themselves. So I think it's important that we have key players in the industry, in the financial services industry, to at least ensure we have good financial inclusion. So I think when you started 5 years ago, you can see that you are doing probably some few transactions, but also not all these varied services. That's the nature of the journey. But the world evolving, I think you can see that there is potential to do more. And I think Yonna has got this commitment here to all of you to say, well, as long as there are those opportunities, we can do more. But I think you've also given them the hopes to do more as a human resource. Because what I'm hearing from them, even from the microfinance, is that, well, when you come to do our human resource in the planning, you realize that we can use the existing staff, we can use the branches. I think that's what they've been telling me. So they are not saying that, well, you can't do more, but they are saying they're going to make sure that, they keep you people busy, by providing extra services. And I think this country is going to have some kind of stock exchange. That has already been in the House. So I think Mr. Mbub have just prayed that someday you'll talk about a Yonna Bank. Now, we in the consultancy industry, we are aware that those things are happening at the central bank, to put the instruments together, the legal instruments together, so that the Gambia can have a stock exchange. Possibly, Yonna would be one of those people who would say, well, we can be listed, not just listed on the stock exchange, but also we understand from the government point of view that GAIPA can give incentives, special incentive certificates, to businesses who would want to set up investment banks. So Yonna would want to take that opportunity by probably being the first Gambian enterprise or business to set up itself as an investment bank. These are very key milestones if you understand what this country in terms of financial services have come through over the years. Now, in the 90s, when we worked for Augustus Prompt was helping people dealing in shares in the 90s. Now, if in the decade of action, there is consideration for a stock exchange, you can imagine what that's going to do for businesses here. Because a capital market is very important. And I think Mr. Toure and his team will really want to grab that opportunity, that earliest opportunity to be part of that capital markets. So these are what they have in their minds, but also I think they know what prospects could be there on the telecom landscape in terms of the business dynamics, but also in terms of the synergy between what telecom would mean for their businesses and how that would link with financial technology. They have all these ideas. They are not sort of good ideas. So I think as staff, you've challenged them to take care of you, but I think they've just said, let me tell you, that they're going to take care of you because there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. And they trust you, you trust them, so we are going to ride in the future with trust to do that work. I think you are all happy, just like we are happy that you've just had a successful year. I hear a certain branch has got 200 million of sales. That's important. And I think all of you have been praising management in terms of how they are taking care of you, but also they are praising you for saying to me, well, we will do well in our expansion because our staff can do more and we're just going to get them to do the extra work that would come with the expansion. But certainly they are aware where you need to develop as people. So in all those expansions, they'll be bringing in expertise from abroad because that's what intelligent people do. They're not just going to put loads on your head and you'll collapse. They understand you are young, but they also understand your limitations. So they're going to pair you up with experts from abroad, which experts would have clear commitment to what we would call knowledge transfer. So in as long as they are contracted to be with you for 3, 4, 5 years, their expertise will be moved to you so that you can, help us with business continuity. So those experts coming in terms of what they should do for the business expansion, they'll work with you closely so that you'll be able to do what you should do, and they will also be happy that, well, they've expanded, some business in the Gambia, and they can have their name to that success. So I think they are, conscious about how they should develop the human resource here, but also all the other resources they should bring in from outside, to make all these things happen. I think this is a moment where in the new year we are all looking forward to some peace. So I think I can pray that we can enjoy that peace with the kind of possible coexistence that we have seen in the room. But also the stakeholders, who are out there are looking forward to Yonna to continue to serve them better. And I can hear a lot of customer service people coming for their awards. So meaning you've not been making your clients angry. You've been making them happy, including those pensioners. These are all important. So from Mr. Toure and his team, and from all of us who have graced this occasion with you today, I think having just mentioned how happy we are with your performance over the years in the journey, we are also confirming to you, because as consultants, we can validate, we can confirm, we can validate that Yonna is a going concern, but also with a good commitment to do a lot more for this country and for all of you as youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are hungry, but otherwise this would have really continued. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Marong. Mr. Marong, we are really grateful. We are really delighted and happy. You are really a consultant. Oh my God, it's really amazing. Everyone has really appreciated this. This presentation is really great and amazing. And today, I don't know for next year's, but I think we had the best lectures for our award ceremony. Today we had the best lectures. It's like I had a free master's lectures today from consultants, from managing directors, and from intellectuals lecturing at the University of the Gambia. Having combined these things together, I have covered a lot today. And I think my colleagues have really done similarly. So thank you very much, all of you, for coming, our media fraternity. We really need to thank all of you for coming. You've been really patient with us. And I think Yonna has been watched today across the length and breadth of the world. And the awards that have been given, and it's really great for all of you. And I think all of you will make the best use of the lectures that we have received here today. And next year, inshallah Rabbi, we wish to welcome you guys back again to give us more lectures about the business, about ethics, about team building and teamwork, and about togetherness. Entrepreneurship has been talked about, and I think it's great for us to gather here and celebrate one another. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. We can march straight to the Banta Bar and have our lunch. And it's a lunch break. Then after that, we will come back to the hall for general discussion and entertainment today till midnight or daybreak. So thank you very much for coming, everybody.
I get it. Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Kosa. Nsila ID.
I get it. Alba.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ah,
mbare. Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom Yonna Forex de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birin koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kono kiya bere to. kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw jannom number 1 ti nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi ma nin domorol dir fana be teata gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
e wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ba ya lafta nyelen kendol e binaji
yalo bu kanila ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel ciosano lo
baraka